All right, let's talk about operations with complex numbers. A complex number, by definition, is just any number that is in the form of a plus bi. A complex number is just a real number and an imaginary number put smashed together. So 3 plus 5i is a complex number. It's like, because it's like kind of complicated. Like, what are you? You got real, you got imaginary. Like, figure it out, guy. But he can't. Anyway, let's talk about operations. We're going to talk about multiplying and dividing rational numbers, not rational numbers, complex numbers. So it's really kind of a straightforward process. To do this, it's the same thing as multiplying binomials or foiling. Remember, that's just first, inner, outer, last. So what you do is you FOIL it. So it's 2 times 3, which is 6, and 2 times negative 2i, which is negative 4i. Okay? Then we do the same thing with the other side. 4i times 3, which is 12i. And then 4i times negative 2i, which would be negative 8i squared. Don't forget to square it. I times I is I squared. Alright, now there's two things we have to do from this point after we FOIL. First one is that we have to combine like terms. So we got two like terms that we got to combine. We have this negative 4i and this 12i. We're going to combine those guys together. Okay? The second thing we have to do is convert our I squared. And if you remember, I squared is equal to negative 1. So we're just going to rewrite this as 8 times negative 1, right? Because I squared is equal to negative 1. And we're going to combine these two guys together. So we get 6 plus 8i minus 8 times negative 1. From here we just simplify 6 times 8i plus 8. Two like terms right here. Bring those together and we get 14 plus 8i. You know what? I know you're looking at me to try to do the second one for you. You know what? I like you guys. I'm going to do it. So let's try this one again. So we're just going to FOIL. So we're going to do 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times negative 3i is going to be negative 15i. 3i times 5 is positive 15i. All right, and then 3i times negative 3i is negative 9i. Squared. Ha, ha, almost forgot. Okay, so once again, we have to start off with combining like terms. So we have negative 15 and 5i. Those are our like terms. We'll combine those guys together. And we got to convert this into a negative 1. So let's rewrite 25. This minus this will give us negative 10i minus 9 times negative 1. That just goes, yeah. Simplify from here, 25 minus 10i plus 9. And then finally, combine these two like terms right here, 25 and 9, which gives us 34 minus 10i. That is our final complex number. Done and done. All right, let's take a look at this guy. Now, this one, we need to divide these two, but really what we're doing is rationalizing the denominator. Why? Because this I is the same thing as the square root of negative 1. And we can't have a square root in the denominator. We've gone over that. So really, you have a square root in the denominator, got to get it done, out of there. Well, if you remember from your last lessons, to do that, when you have something in this form, you just have to multiply by the conjugate. What's the conjugate of this? Well, that would be 2 minus I. Right? We just changed the sign, 2 minus I. From here, we do the same thing we always did. First thing, well, let's look at the bottom, okay? This is going to be equal to 2 squared minus I squared. This first one squared minus the second one squared. We got that down. Now the top part, this is where it gets annoying, guys. We got to FOIL the tops because we have two binomials, so let's do it. We got 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times negative I is negative 3i. 2i times 2 is 4i. And 2i times negative I is going to be negative 2i squared. Okay, well, let's just keep simplifying from here. We're like pros at this by now. The bottom, that's going to be 4 minus, well, I squared is negative 1. Hey, look at that. We got rid of the radical. It turned into a number. Top, once again, we're just going to combine our like terms. We got this 3i and 4i, negative 3i and 4i. And we got to turn this into a negative 1. So it's 6 plus I Negative 3 plus 4 is just 1i, minus 2 times negative 1. All right, let's simplify this guy again. Well, this whole thing is going to be positive 2 right here, right? So this is going to be 6 plus 2 is 8 plus I. That's our top. And the bottom 4 minus negative 1, well, that's just 4 plus 1, so that's 5. And that would be our final answer. So once again, you just multiply by the conjugate. You do the annoying foiling on the numerator, square the bottoms in the denominator, and you're good to go. Well, that was it for this one, guys. And a little word of advice, guys. Choose a college that suits your personality. Don't just go to the big college because it has sports and you think you like sports. Choose one that you think you connect to when you visit it. That's all I have to say about that.